literally to run their country economy, it has to come from the aid of the West or aid from the East. And so the only way we can begin to break that very particular hold upon our lives is for us as Africans. And this is the thing I like saying. What is South Africa doing? If South Africa is one of the countries that is producing gold, for instance, how come we can't then begin to find a way of partnering with Zimbabwe for them to refine the gold? Or how come they can't be what's called to partner with Nigeria for them? Nigeria is one of the countries in Africa that is currently producing oil. But we can't be taking our oil outside to the West for them to refine the oil and bring it back to our continent and sell it at a premium price. So the only way we can begin to deal with the influence of the West, which I promise you it's not going to be an easy stuff. Africans also, part of our problem is the fact that we're not willing to fight. We want to throw our blames all the time. Yeah, it's the West. Amara, it's the black. No, it's this foreigners. It's this. That's the average problem of Africa. So the West, no.
What does that mean? What does fighting look like?
Fighting in terms of for us to really stand. Look at what is happening in Kenya. That's fight.
Okay.
The ability for us to say enough is enough. We cannot sit back and watch our gold being taken out of our continent, not refined by any of the African nation, and we, the people, we just sit back and like, yeah, it's okay. And yeah, they take it, they bring it back, and they sell it to us at a premium price. But here, there is nothing of such in terms of, look at Ghana. Ghana is one of the greatest countries when it comes to cocoa production. Congo now, the battle of Congo is the phone that you and I are using. How many of us are willing to get to the point where we say, no, we drop our phones? To hell with what you call Apple, to hell with Samsung, to hell with these very particular guys and come. Sorry for my insults and stuff. That's just me on my other side. But with all of that, to say, no, enough is enough. If you guys are not going to start producing the phone in Africa, we are not going to use that very particular phone. And I bet you the moment we get to that very particular, obviously there will be sellout. That are those few sellout, and the sellout rises and they show up their face. But I deal with them decisively. When I mean deal, it means anything.
Okay. But one would argue now that we have had leaders that have tried that.
Yeah.
And something happens to them, whether it's Sankara, Gaddafi, Zamora Machel, Chris Hani, something happens. So what can we do to have those type of leaders and have them have a term or finish a term without catching a bullet?
It goes back to what I like saying. It's called the negotiation of the belly.
Okay.
Negotiation. When your stomach is hungry, you will compromise anything. Now, your Thomas Sankara, Gaddafi, and all these great men that you've mentioned, these are people that I also love and I respect their fight. Their time is quite difficult to fight and win, but currently now we have a good way for us to fight and win. The advent of social media has given us chance whereby I can sit here literally in where you guys are broadcasting from right now, and yet I can know what is happening in Congo or probably in Nigeria. Now, the reason why your likes of Thomas Sankara and all these guys could not is because everybody that was around them, and many of them, they want their pocket. The big one, let's look at Gaddafi. Gaddafi actually, before they killed him, this man was literally feeding, if you're a firstborn in this country, there's a salary for you, whether you're a firstborn male or female. He was planning to produce, not even was planning, he actually produced this very particular, what you called, security cars that America take as a premium product. Gaddafi literally has a manufacturing plant literally in Africa here where that very particular product needs to be coming out and it's going to be sold for as less than 1,000 rand. It's going to be sold for less than 1,000 rand. Producing of all of these very particular things, machineries, weapon and all of these things to say, we are enough. But you know the story. They use the same so-called close people with him. And to say, if you can be able to deal with this guy, this thing he's saying, it can't work. Because this is the game they play, and this is where Africa will still remain. It will still take a bit of time. It's the fact that, why must it be that Tapelo must be the one to lead when you know that you can also lead? That's the battle we're facing with the likes of then Thabo Mbeki and the late, the Zimbabwe late president, Mugabe. Because Thabo Mbeki, you will see the same people who will go meet Thabo Mbeki to say, hey, this is what we are believing, this is what we believe that Mugabe can do and code. They will take that information of Thabo Mbeki, go meet Mugabe, tell Mugabe a different story entirely and code. And yet these two parties, they're literally fighting for one Africa. Then the next minute, the political party will come like, where you are going to, Amara, we don't like this one. It's all the whole issue of we are not centered in our thought. We don't have, and that's why, for example, with us in the organization, we record AfriOne. What is the one thing that we want to do? Let's start from one. The problem is the fact that that's the challenge we're facing with African Union. We have too many stuff, or they have too many stuff they want to do. If, for example, one thing you will see, okay, let's do one passport. One passport was not working. They stopped it. The next minute, okay, fine, let's do this African Free Trade Continental Area and co. They're having challenges, they stop it. The next minute, okay, fine, let's try as much as possible to find a way of integrating the people from regional place. But this thing is going to be difficult. They stopped it.
Who's they?
African Union. Now, with African Union, also with themselves also. No, I like using the word, and I know this may cause me problem, and I'm okay because I'm used to it. I call them the toothless bulldog.
What? Oh, the toothless bulldog, okay.
Yes, they shout, but at the end of it all, we don't see anything. If all of these things is happening around our continent, how come we're not seeing solutions from your side? Let's even look at what happened with your South African election just of recent. There was a time where one of the political parties decided to want to call the Americans to come and investigate or to monitor our, election, as if you can't go to Ghana or go to Tanzania and say, come and monitor. It's because they know that we are divided. See, African problem, the biggest thing is the division. It's division. So until we begin to find a way of how to unite ourselves, and the truth of it is the fact that this is a big one. Until I understand that, yes, just because Thapelo can do that and I can do it also, my strength is in the place of submitting to the fact that Thapelo has a voice bigger than mine and not for me to try to close his voice. Many of us as Africans were not humble enough for us to allow one thing to work. We're always very quick for us to bring things down. Like, it has to be me. It can't be Thapelo. It has to be Darlington. If it's not Darlington, then it's Adewumi and all of those very particular things. So that's just our big problem.
When you say that, I'm trying to reconcile the leadership models now.
Okay.
That historically in Africa, we have a chiefdom, kingdoms, etc., where there is one line of march, of course, until someone kills that guy and then someone else comes in. But
so you believe that someone else killed the person?
No, I mean, one looks at a Shaka Zulu and the Zulu kingdom. Back then, maybe not now, but back then. And then one looks at, which did have that almost a one-line authoritative dictatorship progress. And you have, on the other side, you have a democratic thing now where it's votes, where I'd say it almost feels a bit divisive in nature, because now you have different people campaigning for different things, and somehow they're expected to come together and govern, or to have different ideologies in a government and still push.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are we coming together to vote for an idea, or we're coming together to vote for a personality? That's a question we need to start asking ourselves as Africans. These are progressive conversations we need to start talking about. Look at your just concluded election in South Africa. The new breed in town, MK Party. I'm sorry for me to mention your party. If I ask you point blank, you're in South Africa, it's your right for you to know what is the policy of MK Party. Can you give me two? Chances are the answer is no.
It's progressive.
It's progressive.
But
what is progressive?
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. So our problem with us as Africans is the fact that we are not loyal to a cause, we are loyal to individual. If it's not Thapelo that is there, then I'm not going to vote. The question there is the fact that, there's a statement that I like. I think I bumped it. It was a statement by the late President Nelson Mandela. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't know word for word. It says, whether it is white or black, if the rat can do the job, then employ the rat to do the job. The question there is the fact that, are we willing to look at the problem and put the people needed to solve that very particular problem? Or no, because I'm loyal to Thapelo, so it has to be Thapelo. And yet we've given Thapelo literally 10 years. Nothing is happening.
But would you say the problem is also a person and not necessarily a system? Because, the way I see it is we are governing off of a system which is adopted.
The question is, somebody put the system there. Why can't the person change the system so that it becomes progressive? Except if you're saying that system drops from heaven, and so because of that, we don't know the model.
More from the colonial masters.
Yeah, but the colonial masters who put the system in quotes, they are humans.
Yes.
You can feel them, you can touch them. They came, put your system in your country, and the system is killing you. And yet you still say yes to the killing. Who is more stupid? The system or you who is accepting the system that is destroying you?
So how does Africa change the system
I think
for something that works for us?
We need to go back to what we as Africans would really want. What do we want? It's a question that every Africans, in fact, every one of us sitting in this very particular room here, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what do we want? Until we understand what we want, everybody will give us what they think that we want. And so because of that, you would then begin to see the whole issue of, for example, one of the popular things, it has happened across Africa, the whole concept of xenophobia and all of those things, where you feel that, okay, because you don't know what you want, and the next minute I come into the country and I'm doing something, then at that moment you now remember that that's what you want. Then you now begin to fight me. They're like, no matter, you came to take our jobs and stuff, but the job has been there, you did not go. You know, I like cracking jokes. I tell people, I say, point blank, I'm married to a South Africa. The narrative that says the foreigner come to our country to marry our women and take our job and go, I said, I think I've done one, so that's fine. And I remember, I've done one, that's fine. But the thing I then say to people who then come up with a narrative to talk to me, I said, the lady was literally from Eastern Cape. She's in Grahamstown. Why didn't you take a drive to that place to go and find her? She was single for almost all her life. You did not have the mind, because I almost wanted to say it in my tongues, but I need to come down to South Africa. You did not have the mind for you to go meet that very particular lady, to approach her and to say, hey, baby, what's up? And it's again, there's a friend of mine, he's here. Sometimes when I see him, how he approaches ladies, sometimes I just laugh. I'm like, yo, Baba, you will cause problem in this country. We were coming up and I was seeing what he was doing. I just ignored it and move on with my life. But let's be honest, it is the confidence that he carries to approach what he wants. Then you can't come and say now, because I have this very particular lady, next minute you go on TikTok or you want to do a video, man, these people are taking our girls. They are sellouts.